Welcome to The Dying Breed. I'm Caleb, and today we're trimming Lakota. If you've watched very many of our videos, you'll know that Lakota's a regular on the channel, and I've been doing her about 6 years now. She's a 2,000-pound, 18-hand Clydesdale, and she is getting a little older. When I met Lakota, she was 12, 13. So she's got to be 18, 19 now, I believe, which in draft horses is actually pretty old. Draft horses are much like big dogs. They have a little bit shorter life expectancy. So we're just going to get as much of that frog as we can, get it cleaned up, kind of open everything up so we can kind of see what's going on in this foot. A lot of times with these bigger draft feet, I like to start with my nippers. I can kind of just get most of the big stuff out of the way and then fine tune it with my hoof knife. The reason we trim horses is in the wild, horses move enough across the ground to wear their feet down so they don't necessarily need a trim. In captivity, horses don't move enough or cover enough country to wear their feet down. So that's why a farrier is called, to take off the excess growth that didn't wear off over the cycle. And you can see all that dead sole that we're peeling out of there. I run Salcedo knives. I've run Salcedos for almost 3 years now, and I love them. They stay sharp a long time. They're a really good knife. I really like them. You'll see there's a big split right there in the hoof wall, and we're going to address that, and we'll get rid of it. Just look at the width of that hoof wall that we're nipping off right there. Draft horses are extremely heavy, which causes their feet to grow out as much or more than they grow down. When we have a case where the hoof wall is growing out rather than down, we call it flare, especially when it grows out more in one area than it does in another. That's considered flare. Flare is caused by external forces on the hoof capsule. Basically, how the horse stands on his limb will determine how and where he flares. So if a horse loads heavy on the inside of his foot, but not so much to the outside will flare because the inside is being pushed or constricted. So if you look at this foot, you'll notice that the distance from the white line to the outer edge of the hoof wall in some areas is greater, namely in the toe of this foot. So this foot has a lot of force on the heels, causing less distortion there and more distortion in the toe. So our job as farriers is to deal with that distortion and manage it. We don't necessarily fix it, but we can manage it and keep a healthy hoof capsule. I think as a farrier, my career took a turn for the better when I got away from the idea that I was saving horses' lives and that I was fixing things. And I became a little more humble and realized that no, what I'm really doing is just managing their feet and doing my best to do good basic horse shoeing. Good balanced trims, flat feet, nice flat and level feet with a solid trim, not too short, all the basics, just basics. You'll notice I use my nippers here. Normally I use my rasp, but with these big feet, it saves a little time to use my nippers. And you'll notice I'm not really, see how I'm not going further back into the heels, and now the hoof wall's about the same width all the way around. We'll fine tune it a little bit with the rasp. Now you can see that crack's gotten significantly better. It's not as bad as it used to be. And once we get the leverage off the hoof wall, that crack will pretty much go away. Out here using my saran wrap, I still like my saran wrap. Holds the feathers out of the way. This is probably I would say one of the hardest parts of my job is rasping. It's all cardio, and you have to remember to breathe through it. And on a horse like this, we're doing a lot of rasping. You'll see that I'm rasping to that mark I made on the bottom. This way, we don't thin the hoof wall out too much. If you thin the hoof wall out too much, the hoof wall's weak and then it begins to fall apart. If you don't take enough, it continues to flare and will be worse the next time you come back. And to answer your question, what happens in the wild? I get this question almost every video. Horses in the wild travel across the ground enough to wear their feet down. And to basically, the growth to wear ratio is equal. So they grow as much as they wear down. In captivity, horses aren't moving enough for that growth to wear ratio to be even. You have more growth than you do wear. And that's why we as farriers come in and trim the foot. So we're going to just finish shaping up the foot. There's a lot of flare on that inside. And then we're going to put a little roll on it. So I like to bevel the foot. So I notched right above the crack on this foot, and there is no reason to really do that. I had a farrier when I first started shoeing say that it helped control the crack. I don't believe that's true, but it's kind of a holdover habit from a long time ago when I first started shoeing. So we're going to work on the other foot. When you're looking at these 2 feet, you might notice that there is a difference. You might see that this foot actually looks a little wider. It looks more flared, and that split in the toe is worse. The reason for this foot looking different than the other foot is because of how she's standing. She's putting more weight on one foot than she is the other. I think this is primarily due to arthritis. She's getting older. She's pretty old in draft years. And she's compensating. So obviously the other foot is kind of bothering her. And she is using this foot more than she is the other one. And there's a couple of reasons that I come to this conclusion. One, the shape of the feet. One foot is significantly wider, significantly more flared, which shows that it's bearing more weight consistently. The second thing I've noticed is that she is more willing to give me the other foot than she is this foot. She struggles to keep this foot up for long periods of time. And a lot of times we will get confused, horse owners and farriers too, will think that the bad foot is the one that they won't hold up for you, and the foot that they give you is the one that they don't have a problem with. And it's actually the opposite, because a horse needs to stand on the other one. They don't want to stand on the one that hurts. So they'll give you the one that hurts. You can hold that one up all day, but the one that doesn't hurt is the one that they don't want to stand on. So a lot of times when we're shoeing horses, we watch for these little signs so that we can kind of be proactive instead of reactive. And in this case, you know, there's not a lot that we can do really. I think I recommended that maybe talking to a vet and seeing if you could get her some anti-inflammatories or something like that to kind of help her. She's not really showing any problems out in the pasture. I'm just seeing changes in the hoof capsule. And as farriers, that's kind of our job, is to watch and pay attention to changes within the hoof capsule, because we see it on a consistent basis. Again, going to use my nippers to kind of get a jump start on getting that hoof wall gathered up. Starting to get a little bit better shape into the foot. So as I'm moving my rasp around the outside of this foot, I'm looking at the white line and looking at the thickness of the hoof wall, and I'm trying to match the thickness all the way around. I use Heller XL rasps, green tang. You can kind of see the green right there in the video on the tang of the rasp. And the handle on this rasp I got from Farrier Box. It's a subscription base that farriers can get. It's amazing. It's like Christmas time every other month. And I always find the stuff they send me useful. So that's like my new favorite rasp handle. It came to me in Farrier Box. And unfortunately, I am not sponsored by them. I just really think they have a great product. Going to use my evil saran wrap again. At this point, it's just funny. People get so hot and bothered about the fact that I use saran wrap to hold the feathers out of the way, and that it's not good for the environment. And as they're writing this on plastic-made Apple products and Android products, it's just ironic to me. So again, this foot was a little bit more flared, so I'm actually going to use my nippers to get a little bit of a start. So I'm looking at the mark that I made on the bottom where I gathered everything up, and then I'm just kind of nipping off that edge a little bit just to give me a little bit of a jump start. So I don't have to rasp quite as much. I really do love working on drafts. They're such a cool animal, and the fact that a 2,000-pound animal lets me crawl underneath them and work on them is pretty impressive. Because if she didn't want her feet done, she wouldn't get her feet done. I mean, there's not much that could hold her in place if she didn't want to be there. So to answer the other question, I get a lot of videos. Does it hurt the horse? No, because if it hurt them, they wouldn't stick around. If you guys haven't checked out our podcast, definitely go check it out. We have some amazing guys on there that have been super kind to me and come on and told me their life story, and it's been quite an honor. I've had a lot of fun with it, so go check it out. Let us know what you think of that. Again, you can kind of see how she's moving around on me, and you can see that I've cut out some of the dead space, but I let her have this foot back every so often so that she doesn't have to stand on it for long periods. And you can kind of see her waffling back and forth a little bit, pushing, trying to find a comfy spot. These hoof stands really make that much easier for these horses, because she can put all her weight on that hoof stand if she wants. If I was trying to do this without a hoof stand, just me holding her up, that would be a bad day. Very hard day. Hear me breathing in the background. All cardio. I need to work harder. Go out, exercise, so I don't sound like a locomotive when I'm rasping. Gonna bevel that foot all the way around. We don't want sharp edges. We want something kind of rounded so that it doesn't chip. You can see that crack is almost all gone. And by beveling it, that'll keep it from splitting more. Get a nice bevel all the way around. There we go. There's a lot of foot on these drafts. There's a lot of foot. And that should about do it for today. Hope you guys enjoyed the video. Like and subscribe. Let us know what you think in the comments, and we'll catch you next time.